Shifting gears to the Middle East, where Iran has released video of its forces seizing 2 ships in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. put out similar footage earlier this week, building a pattern of tit-for-tat actions that one Iranian leader called an eye for an eye, a tanker for a tanker. So let's bring in Charlie Daggett. Charlie, some are concerned that we may be getting further away from an end to this conflict.
Yeah, good morning, Matt. No matter how you look at it, this is an escalation from both sides of the conflict. The ceasefire is still holding in that they're not shooting at each other, but they're finding other ways of projecting their power and control of the seas in and around that strait. A highly produced video released by Iran's Revolutionary Guards, complete with soundtrack and drone footage, purportedly shows commandos seizing 2 container ships in the Strait of Hormuz, fast attack boats closing in on the MSC Francesca and the Epaminondas, an assault force scaling ladders before sweeping through the vessels. The crews are said to be safe, but Iran's message is clear. Commercial ships attempting to pass through the strait are legitimate targets. Iran claiming retaliation for the U.S. capture of 2 vessels this week, with a member of its parliament taunting an eye for an eye, a tanker for a tanker. In a further show of defiance, state TV aired video of what it said were 2 of Iran's advanced ballistic missiles in a pro-government rally, showing Iranians shouting "Death to America," while U.S. Central Command put out its own message, listing the warships, military aircraft, and drones making up the U.S. Navy's own blockade south of the strait. At last tally, it said more than 30 vessels, the majority oil tankers, have been turned around. So far from being as degraded as the Trump administration says, multiple U.S. sources tell CBS News roughly 60% of the naval arm of the Revolutionary Guard is still intact, as well as roughly half of Iran's ballistic missile arsenal. Matt?
Charlie, I want to keep you here for a second. Earlier this month, Secretary Hegseth fired the Army Chief of Staff, and last night we learned that the Secretary of the Navy has also been fired. Obviously, these are unusual moves in the middle of a war. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Matt, with immediate effect is how the Pentagon put it in a statement announcing a dismissal of the Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan. This is in the middle of a war and the kind of naval blockade not seen in decades. Earlier this month, the head of the Army, that's General Randy George, he was asked to step down. Now, Phelan had no prior military experience, but George was a 40-year combat veteran. As for the impact of this conflict, Secretary of the Navy really doesn't have a lot to do with combat operations. That's largely down to the head of Central Command. That's Brad Cooper, who happens to be a Navy admiral. General George is a greater loss as the head of the Army. But at the moment, this is a conflict being waged by air and sea. Matt?
Charlie Daggett in Israel, thank you.